What's home?
Home is a fun place to be.
Where is home?
Home is in
Home is where the
Jamaica
heart
with my
is.
family.
What does home mean to you?
Home means having fun and picking mangoes off the tree and running around barefoot in my yard.
Welcome to Learning as I Grow 365, a storytelling adventure.
Home is where the people I care about are.
What does home mean to you?
Generally, peacefulness, serene, calm, mind free.
When I was growing up, um, you got a sense that for the adults, the aim of the game was to emigrate. Um, and the game was economic well-being. So my cousins and I were raised by my grandparents because our parents lived in different countries. Um, and then for other members of the family, seasonal migration, where they'd go to do farm work or hotel work, was a mainstay. But somehow my grandmother raised us, the grandchildren, on the notion that no one better than yard. Um, and so she'd often talk about how hard life in foreign is and her own opportunities to go to the UK that she turned down because her family was in Jamaica. And so for a very long time, the idea of moving to another country to live uh, sort of felt like, I don't know, wrong, like a non option. Um, and at a very early age, I had to travel to visit my dad. Me and my brother, we traveled to visit my dad. And so I was bitten by the travel bug, but I wanted to be a tourist traveler. I didn't want to move to another country to live there. As I got older, perspectives shift, um, and different spaces began to take up different positions in terms of the people I met and the kind of connections that I made visiting those spaces over time. And then when I started practicing community development, one of my internship was in another Caribbean island. So I spent 6 months there. And for the first time, I was like, wait, I could live somewhere other than Jamaica. And it might sound silly, but it's like for most of my life up until that point, it was not even an idea that it was possible to live somewhere else because nowhere else could be home. People, the energy, the vibes, everything felt, you felt safe, you felt connected. The culture was awesome, but also the culture was very similar to Jamaica. But the funny story is when I first started traveling to visit my dad in the summer and at Christmas time, and I feel like it was more important that we brought all the types of Jamaican food. I remember we had to go to the craft market to get these mesh marina for my dad and this what you call it, these rasta belts, those, what do you call it, yeah, rasta belt at the plait or crochet or knit, anyway. um that was a priority. Like the minute time started winding down for you to go to see daddy, you know you had to start collecting everything, the cereal, the breadfruit, grandma for baked pudding, everything. um that at the time, I think it was their way of trying to capture the essence of what was home to them, and just have a piece of that be brought to them, because they were living in a completely different space. And so as I got older, and the first time I ventured out traveling on my own to be there for almost 3 months, I remember going through the airport, and the immigration officer's like, "You bringing any food?" And I'm like, I mean, like, it's a no-brainer. Who travels without bringing a piece of Jamaica with them? And I was like, yes. And I remember Malta was one of them, because that was my beverage of choice at the time. And he was puzzled, like, what the hell is that? And why do I need it? But interestingly, the joke's on all the people who thought I didn't need to bring food, because when we went to the cabin that we were supposed to stay at, the person who was supposed to pick us up to go grocery shopping didn't show up until the next day. So, your girl was good because she had all of Jamaica in her suitcase. And then I remember when I was going to Japan, someone had asked me, if you could take one thing from Jamaica with you, what would it be? And I'm like, one thing? The priority space in my suitcase is for many things. And so I really thought about how food for me was like my connection to Jamaica as home. And why am I thinking about this? Funny story. Well, I don't know if you find it funny, but it's a funny story for me, where this Christmas, that just passed, I'm in a country, not Jamaica, and we'd gone to Jamaica in the summer, and we brought up breadfruit, all the works and whatever, and try as we might, everything was done by October. And so a lot of effort has been expended trying to recreate essence of Jamaican food, using what is available to us. But I was laughing at myself, because for Christmas dinner, so in my home, Christmas dinner is made only with gungo peas. Christmas rice and peas must be gungo peas. Your girl don't like gungo peas. I might enjoy it in a nice soup, but gungo peas rice, no, not my thing. And would you believe when my husband tell me, I said gungo at the specialty shop, I approach him and like, how you fi see gungo and don't tell me, that we have to have gungo, gungo rice and peas for dinner. And I made gungo rice and peas for dinner. I put the thing in my mouth and I was like, but hold on, you don't like gungo rice and peas. So what is this thing of, cooking it the traditional way? And I just sat and laughed at myself, because I'm like, it's amazing how we try to hold on to pieces of home, and home doesn't necessarily have to be a place. Like, every country I've lived in where I've made certain kinds of connection, a piece of that country, through the people, through the culture, through the music. Dominica, I'm looking at you, stays with me and becomes a part of my happy place, which is home. And so That is a funny story that I wanted to talk about tonight in terms of how people conceive home, what does home mean, and what are the things that are important to us as we try to hold on to those special things in our life. And how does moving, whether voluntarily or otherwise, impact that sense of home, and like moving to different space and trying to hold on to the things that you value as important from your culture. It's not always easy. I asked my daughter tonight, where is home? And this is her answer.
Home is in Jamaica with my family.
And then I asked her, what does home mean for her? And this is what she had to say.
Home means having fun and picking mangoes off the tree and running around barefoot in my yard.
And it brought me a lot of joy. It brought me a lot of joy that even as in this moment she identifies home as Jamaica, there are some elements to it that she can clearly say, this is why Jamaica feels like home. This is why Jamaica is home for me. And so, you know, immigration officers, bear with us when you see us carrying the chugga log of the breadfruit and the cane and, the 5 pound of fried fish and everything. Because it is suddenly dawning on me, like, I mean, it was a ritual of travel for me ever since I was 12, but it's just dawning on me how important those little essence of home, even your annoyance at your overweight luggage, but to the people that you take those things for and share those things with, it's probably having an immeasurable impact in terms of, and I'm thinking about people like my dad has been away from Jamaica for almost 20 years. So to think every summer and every Christmas, his real connection is, I mean, with like, there was a point where I wondered, why is it every year my father need new Rasta Marina? By the way, if you see my father, his head is bald, but as I say, you don't have to dread, right? Um, but yeah, I used to get so annoyed, like, why every year daddy asking me to make sure I bring Marina and belt, like, what is happening? Why him need these things to be replenished every year? Um, so yeah, I was just sitting there and in that moment of putting that gungo rice and peas in my mouth, I was like, what is happening to you? And this is somebody who just went home 6 months ago. So when you think about, people and how they react to certain things and certain encounters, show grace, because we don't know what is going on. And for a lot of people, emigrating is one of the hardest things they could do, but they just had to, it felt like that's the only thing they could do in order to get certain kinds of opportunity to get their lives on a certain path. For a lot of people, it's not the same as, like I said, when young me was like, I'm a tourist traveler. I travel to experience the culture. That was my thing. Like, I want to experience the different cultures. That is my thing. Which is actually what led to me staying longer and longer in spaces. But then the longer I stayed in spaces, I would set down some ties that would leave indelible mark on me and who I am as a person. Um, and I've gotten a lot of lifelong friends as a result. So, you know, that's the story I want to share tonight about what is home and what are the ways in which we try to recreate home wherever we go. Um, and I think that is the critical piece there. How do we support people who are on the move in recreating home as they adapt to new spaces and new life? So tell me, what is your Gungo Peace story?
What does home mean to you?